Last week, I wore it while visiting my sister. While I was putting it back on to leave, I felt something go splat on my back, then my niece started cackling, and the smell of paint hit me. Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, gonna go over a story titled, Am I the A-hole for taking my niece to court over a coat? And guys, this story is definitely one that's going to give you a good laugh. Both a laugh and also make you want to throw something. This is a story about a woman. She is 28 years old. Sounds like she's recently married a guy that does work very well for himself, family's wealthy. And she was given a very expensive coat as a gift from her mother-in-law. And she wore it one day to visit her family, and her 16-year-old niece ruined it. Ruined it on purpose and filmed her ruining it so she could put up on social media and hope that video would go viral and she can get a whole lot of attention and all that. Typical bullshit that goes on nowadays with these dumb a-holes that are addicted to attention from TikTok and all that. However, this woman does not take this lying down, and eventually you're going to see how this thing goes with the girl, her mother, and all that in this family drama. It's pretty entertaining. And once again, this is going to show you the damage that social media has caused, especially like TikTok, where people realize I can get a lot of attention if I do some asinine thing, record myself, and get a whole lot of attention and grow my channel and all that. My internet clout, if you will. It's a shame. It's also an example of the young generation that behave like such entitled narcissistic a-holes to get attention, and they also act that way because their parents don't raise them to have accountability and aren't handled the right way that many of us that are older were raised that way. Because there's no consequences to the different actions, and it's the parents' fault. And amongst many other things. And you're going to see how at the end of the day, generally it takes men to fix problems that women start or get involved in because emotions are so high, while men can think logical and handle it rationally. Definitely a good one. So it starts off, says here, I, a 28-year-old female, have a niece, a 16-year-old female. She is my only sister's only child. 2 years ago, I married a very wealthy man, a 34-year-old male. Shocker. And because of the pandemic, last Christmas was my first Christmas with the in-laws. My mother-in-law gifted me a coat that is worth more than $20,000. I saw her wearing it, asked where she bought it, and she said that would be my Christmas gift from her. $20,000 coat? I would never wear that out. I mean, thank you very much for the gift, but I'd be afraid I'm going to get mugged or if it's going to get damaged, rained on, a pigeon shits on it, who knows what. $20,000 for a freaking coat. I didn't know how much it was. I knew it was expensive, but I thought maybe $3,000 at most. I was visiting my sister last January when my niece saw it. She Googled the brand and showed me how much it really was. I won't lie, I didn't wear it afterwards, because I was afraid of ruining it. So let's pay attention to little details here. Notice the 16-year-old girl immediately has to Google the brand to find out how much it's worth. Like, the kids have to know because that's all status and all that. Last week, I wore it while visiting my sister. While I was putting it back on to leave, I felt something go splat on my back. Then my niece started cackling and the smell of paint hit me. I was so pissed off while she was not apologetic at all. Her mom screamed at her and said she was grounded. Then she said she will pay for the dry cleaning. Her freaking niece threw paint at her jacket and she's laughing about it. Now you're going to see in a moment what was really going on here. And obviously I gave it up in the beginning about the recording. She did this to record it so she could upload it online and get a lot of attention. Ruined her freaking jacket. Guys, if you had an expensive suit or something that was expensive and your child in your family deliberately ruined it, laughed about it, didn't apologize just so they could record and put on social media, do you think you would just let the parent yell at them? I think a lot of you would, you get my point what you would do. Would involve some serious smacks, and I'm being nice about that. This fucking generation. And again, thank you, social media, for these things. But, well, I'll let you see as I go on here. While I was in my car, still in shock by the way, I got an alert that my niece posted a reel. It was of her doing a prank on me. And she said, I'm going to hit my aunt's $20,000 coat with a paint-filled balloon to see how she reacts. Did it on... She knows it's worth 20 grand. 20 grand. And she's 16 years old, not 6 years old. But let's be honest, 16-year-olds behave like 6-year-olds now. This is why when I say people, when they get married, people nowadays get married when they're like 19 or 20. That's like a bunch of freaking junior high kids getting married because they have that maturity level of them. Hell, even kids, people get married at 25. It's too young because the maturity level, for the most part, isn't that high up. What a little asshole. And she's just going to get grounded over this? I saved it on my phone, I sent it to her mom, and told her that a week's grounding is not enough. She did not reply, but I saw my niece took it down, and I got less than 5 views by then. This is her sister. Her sister's child did this, and her sister didn't reply, and all she's going to get is grounding. The next day, I found out that my coat cannot be saved. So I called my sister and told her her daughter has to pay it back. Well, we got into an argument, and she said that they will not be paying for it. And if I want a new one, I should get my husband to buy it for me. This is why the kids act the way they do, because there's no consequence. She deliberately ruined a $20,000 coat, and she's now saying, I'm not paying for it. The girl isn't paying for it. I have an idea. How about all the girl's possessions, jewelry, rings, a car if she has one, can be sold, and that money can go to paying for it. Teach that little shithead a lesson. But nope, mom's not doing it. And here's my thought. I think mom is jealous of her. I think her sister is jealous that she's married to a guy with a lot of money, therefore she has a nice life, and this is her way of sticking it to her. Because I've never seen, it's a whole higher degree of ugliness when it comes to jealousy between sisters. And I've witnessed this firsthand with a girlfriend I had many, many years ago. Good Lord. I think they should pay for it. They can afford to. In my opinion, they should sell my niece's car and pay me back the money. There you go. That'll teach her a lesson. We did not reach an agreement, so I told her that I will be suing and reminded her that I have video evidence that her daughter, A, did it on purpose for online clout, and B, knew exactly how expensive it was. It never ceases to amaze me how stupid these people are. They record them breaking the law, doing a criminal act, put it online, and there's the evidence. I mean, again, how stupid, how brainless are these freaking people? Yes, there you go. She has a car. Sell the car. Nope. People in my life are not objective at all. I have some calling me an a-hole, some saying that they are a-holes for not buying me a new one, and some so obsessed with the price of the coat that they are calling me an a-hole for simply owning it and wanting a new one. Of course, I wouldn't be walking around with a $20,000 freaking coat or a $20,000 watch or anything like that because that could be destroyed. You get mugged for it or whatever. But the person's not an a-hole for having that. It was a gift. But people are so obsessed about those types of things. But the fact that people actually are calling her the a-hole for wanting to sue her freaking niece and sister over this, absolutely. You bet your ass I would do that. Hell, if it was $1,000, I would freaking sue after a good ass kicking. She says, so am I the a-hole? No. Not at all. Absolutely, I would sue. Absolutely, I would get the police involved because that kid's going to grow up thinking I can do something like this and get away with it. And you got a whole world full of people like that right now because parents are shitty parents because the parents act like children. How do I know? Because you see how they act online. The parents act like a bunch of teenagers. The parents don't want to parent their kids. They want to be the kid's best friend. And the parent has forgotten their important job of preparing their children for a tough, competitive, harsh world. And so they just want to there them and be the helicopter moms and dads, make sure that kid has a trophy and gets a participation trophy for playing soccer, even though their team came dead last. And you get my point here. This is what we got. But don't worry, she doesn't back down. Now, real quick, a few comments to show I'm not alone. One guy says here, for a prank video, for a 16-year-old, she's acting a lot like a 6-year-old. She and her family need to learn the value of money. Since the parents don't feel like they should have to repay it, they are actually equally at fault. They literally let their daughter's need for online attention write a check her ass couldn't cash. An expensive lesson for everyone involved. Another one says here, and they can afford it by selling the niece's car. That's the punishment she deserves. She caused it, she pays. If she doesn't like it, that's okay. She can sell her car herself to pay for the damages the court will award. Lesson well learned. If I pulled something like that today, if I was a teenager today, in today's world with social media and all that, and I did that, my parents would make me sell everything I had. After my dad would have whipped my ass in the backyard and nobody else could see, literally everything I owned would have been sold. Even if I literally had to walk around with a freaking a potato sack to wear for clothes because I had to sell all my clothes to pay for it, that's what my parents would have done, because my parents were old school. And do you think I ever would have done something like that again? Oh, hell no. But not this generation of parents. Another guy says here, to the people saying it's expensive, why would you want a new one? It's not about getting a new coat, but the reimbursement. If it was a $20,000 car and the niece had thrown a paint stripper over it and trashed it, would she be expected to pay? Yes. She knew the cost and did it purposely to get a rise out of her aunt for internet points. Let's get $20,000 worth of her property and trash it beyond repair and see if she thinks it's funny. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. If they won't make some reparation or even apologize properly, go to court and don't even think about it. And any of these people can't comment because it hasn't happened to them. They would do the same thing, they just wouldn't be honest about it because it's not. So, now we're going to find out what happens. And again, remember what I said in the beginning about now the men come in and handle it rationally. She says, so a quick update since the situation has been resolved. When my husband got home, I told him what happened and showed him the video. He asked if I spoke with my brother-in-law and I said no. All my conversations were with my sister. He said he will take care of it, as husbands usually have to do. Now a disclaimer. I understand nothing when it comes to insurance claims, and this is what my husband told me, and I understood how it happened. My husband talked with my brother-in-law, told him exactly what happened, and showed him the prank video. Then he told him that the coat was insured, and we will be filing a claim and submitting the video, and we might have to file charges for the claim. He assured him that we would be dropping the charges. We do not want to send the niece to jail. Then he told him that one of two things might happen. After our insurance pays us, they will come after them. If their insurance pays, their premium will skyrocket. If it doesn't, they might sue them and might get a lien against their house. Yeah, that might motivate them to sell the a-hole niece's car. My brother-in-law asked if there was a way he could pay us without involving the insurance. My husband told him that was what we wanted at first, but that my sister insisted that they would not be paying us back. Apparently my brother-in-law was not in the know, and he was very pissed off at what my niece did and my sister's response. Good. He should go tear him a new one. So they came to this solution. Now listen to this. My niece's car will be sold, and if it doesn't fetch the whole compensation money, she will have to get a job and pay me the whole check until it's paid off. Also, she is grounded for the rest of the school year. I'm thankful for the people who encouraged me to talk with my husband. And there you go. The men fix the situation that the women get themselves involved in. Now, the woman telling the story is not her fault, but again, look at all this. Now, here's the question. Do you guys really think, and I want you to comment on this, do you really think that they're actually going to go through and sell their a-hole teenage daughter's car? And probably any other belongings to cover it. Do you think they're actually going to go through with that or make her get a job? I would like to think so, but what I see happening is probably the parents will write a check for $20,000 and then and that will be the end of it. I can see that happening because if the brother-in-law, who is the father of this a-hole girl married to the a-hole sister, is a typical guy of this generation, he'll cave. Because a lot of these guys, let's be honest, as you know, are walked over by their wives. I hope not. Because if there's any hope of that girl learning a lesson and her mother learning a lesson, it would be then for him to lay down the law, sell the car, her jewelry, whatever, to pay for that thing. Maybe she'll learn a lesson, but probably not. What she'll probably do, the teenage girl, if they let her have social media, will record them selling her car and her having to get a job, filling out the application. Poor me. And we'll get a whole lot of sympathy online to get that. I can see happening. They should make her sell that, ban from social media, all that as much as possible, and maybe there. And as for this girl, the woman telling the story here, I would have nothing to do with her sister after this because her sister showed her true colors. I think she's jealous of her, jealous of her life, and she's a total freaking a-hole, okay? I'd have nothing to do with the niece anymore. And I don't want to hear that, oh, she's a kid. No. She's a little asshole, okay? Life is short. I talk about all the time, you cut people out of your life that bring turmoil and drama and don't have your side. This girl's sister does not have her side. Fuck them. Okay, I'd wait for the check to arrive, the money to clear into my account, and pretty much freaking tell them to F off. And quite frankly, that girl should be charged anyway. But that's a whole other thing. Now, if you comment here before I wrap this up, one guy says, my take on all this is that the sister has some serious jealousy over the OP's fortunate circumstances, and she's expressed that with the niece's hearing. That was my first thought when I read this story. Jealousy goes to a whole new level when it comes between sisters. The sister likely believed family will not and cannot do what needed to be done, therefore there will be no actual consequences for her daughter's actions. The brother-in-law lives in the real world of consequences and would rather not, 1, have a lien on his house, or 2, daughter with a criminal record. This is reasonable, the niece not ending up in criminal record, solution that is harsh enough to hopefully teach the niece a lesson. Will she see the light of day anytime soon? Probably not. Especially as it's likely that the sister will hold a grudge and keep talking smack about the OP behind her back. Correct. Cut them off. Have nothing to do with them. Who cares? You don't talk to your sister. Big fucking deal. But so many people in this world will endure so much BS because of family. Because they'll say, it's family. Or blood is thicker than water. You want to have somebody in your life that treats you like this? No. The other guy says here, your sister and nieces are a-holes. Your brother-in-law is the reasonable one. Whether you can afford to replace the jacket isn't relevant. Willfully destroying someone's $20,000 property is a felony. You might want to mention that to your sister. And last one, the guy says, what I don't understand is why the girl recorded what she was doing. I mean, I get that it was for internet laughs, but she literally recorded herself committing a felony and thought that she wouldn't be able to skate. Even at 25 years old, I marvel at the stupidity of the younger generation who seem to think it's wise to video record themselves committing crimes and then uploading them for internet clout. If you're going to do something stupid, the last thing you should desire to do is show everyone online what you did. Well, when you're in a world where there's no consequences to your actions, then hey. But as some people are waking up and having some good common sense to laying down some old-fashioned consequences, some people may learn. And if the father here lays down the law and sticks to what he says and has the girl pay for it, maybe she'll learn. Who knows? But I can see the girl twisting things around to play the victim card and get even more attention by posting that online or with her friends or whatever, and make it that her aunt is the mean, evil one here. But remember, to the sister that is raising this young girl one day with her attitude and level of no accountability is one day going to no doubt have children. One way or another. And do you think she'll have the maturity to pay for those children and raise them? No. Her mother will be raising them. So remember to all the parents out there that think that you want to make your kid your best friend, that you don't want to raise them for a tough, harsh, competitive world, don't want to raise them in a way that have consequences to teach them right from wrong, amongst many other things. Guess what? You're going to be raising their kids and their kids because you did a shitty job as a parent. So, people don't like how kids behave in this world now. Well, the parents are a big part of the problem. And until that changes, it's only going to get worse. And I'm in one of these moods to talk. I'm one of these moods to rant. So, for those of you stuck around long enough, I hope that you agree with me. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below what you think about this. Let me know about what you think about the generation now and the lack of accountability and the stupidity of putting shit up online. I'd like to hear about it. Do you have anybody in your family that does that? Do you know anybody? Let's hear about it in the comments. Let's talk about this. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.